Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another round of TGP2. We are back after our week break. Had a week off last week to refresh after that incredible Mike Noon win in Monza, which took everybody by surprise. But now we are here for the second half of the season, I suppose you could say. It's round 13 and 14 tonight in Russia and Japan, and the championship is so close. But incredibly tonight, we are missing the top two in the championship. Hickman on 159 points and Dom on 158. Both of them are not here tonight, so this is a huge opportunity for the likes of Jacko on 128, Chris Johnson on 119, Magic Pukan on 106, Parsons on 103. Huge opportunity for these guys to suddenly come in and catch right back up to the likes of Dom and Hickman. They'll both be back next week. But these guys are focusing on tonight, and also to focus on tonight and tonight's races alongside me is Roy.
Good evening, Daniel. Yeah, looking forward to tonight's races. We have two differing tracks coming up tonight. We have one of them filled with exciting, fast-flowing corners and some real iconic corners that the fans all know and love, and Suzuka. So it would be...
That's good. You knew where you go with that.
So, yeah, really looking forward to it as we see Jacko in the final sector about to complete a flying lap. Did look a little bit squirrely through the final sector, but he's only got two more corners to negotiate. The final corner, you want to take as much curb as you can, just floor the throttle, don't worry about the exit, and he takes pole by 3/10 of a second, provisional pole, I should say. A quarter of a second, we'll say.
Yeah, good lap by Jacko. Looking to bounce back, of course, after that. And he crashed out of Monza. I think he was in second place at the time. Crashed out, but he needs to make the most of Dom and Hickman not being here tonight and hopefully do well. So you notice we've got Camo Bamo standing in for Dom, the two-time TGP2 winner, and he's actually set a very good lap so far in second place at the moment. Blair Grylls in a solid third, Poop Cannon in fourth place. Parser hasn't even left the pit lane yet, which is a bit strange, but got a couple of minutes left in this session and everybody seems to be coming out now for their final runs, aside of course from Sid's Penguin, who crashed earlier in the session.
Yeah, we've Wet Lemons on the lap around turn 3, which is turn 3 around this track is effectively a straight in these cars. You don't brake at all, and it does favour a low downforce setup slightly in that first sector, but then it's all about carrying it through the rest of the lap, and then by the time you get to sector 3, that you can find yourself struggling. So setup direction can be quite interesting around the circuit, as Wet Lemons rounds turns, they are turns 7 and 8, no 8 and 9, and he's now at turn 10 to the second DRS zone, which goes through two corners. It's a bit marginal. Carlos Sainz had a bit of a dodgy crash a few years back, but Wet Lemons crosses that second sector split, and he's a quarter of a second up on his previous time, which would elevate him, very deep though, it would elevate him to P3, but that's not an ideal line he's taken through there. Now this horrible off-camber corner, it's easy to unsettle the car through there, and then there's a big sausage curb on the next corner for good measure, so don't take too much of that inside curb. But two more corners now for Wet Lemons to negotiate, and he just about keeps it within the track limits. Now through the final corner he goes, and it's a marginal improvement in terms of time, but not position.
Yeah, I think that lap fell away from him, didn't it, in the final sector? It looked like a solid one, but then sadly it all fell to pieces. Magic Poop kind of tried to go on a lap, but invalidated. So I think he's going to go for one more lap now with 30 seconds to go in the session. Got Bazza coming around the final few corners. Oh, he clouted that curb around the horrible turn. What is turn 15? Horrible two corners. Final two corners coming up now. Fairly easy, but still sort of frustrating way to end the lap, and again clouts the curb, but he crosses the line and he goes up into sixth place.
He does have enough deployment to do another lap, and I think, is he going for it? I think he might be. No, I don't think he has enough fuel. So Chris Johnson, currently running in 7th, which is actually slightly better than his recent run of form has been. He tends to qualify in the kind of 8th to 12th region, and Mike Noon,
yeah, he's had a big crash.
Has crashed in the final sector, so he will start no higher than 10th, which is not a position you really want to start in, as Chris Johnson passes a stray wheel on the circuit. and now
I think
enters the
Blake, I
second.
think Brunegel is the one to watch here. I think he's going to be the first driver to cross the line of the final runners. He set a very good lap so far. There's a Red Bull that's Mike Noon's car, which thankfully is not on the racing line. He's going to come through the final. Oh, in fact, he boxes, but it looks like he was on like a pretty decent lap, but decided to go against it. So Magic Poop Cannon's on his way round now. The pulls from a couple of corners.
Magic Poop Cannon with just 2 more corners to negotiate. Currently finds himself in P4, which isn't the worst around here because you do get a long slipstream to turn 2. But Magic Poop Cannon crosses the line and he goes 2 positions better into P2. So Chris Johnson crosses the line and he's up to 5th, which is what's better than his recent run of form. Although it does have to be said, we are missing Theo and Dom. But then again, Camo Babo, Dom's replacement, is up in the top 3.
He is indeed, and he was going quicker as well, but boxed on that final run. Don't know if he made an error, which I did not see, but he is in the pit lane then, so I think that's the end of qualifying. And you can see the grid there, and it's Jacko, who, as we say, after that crashing spot in Monza even, needs to hit back with a decent result, and that is a decent way to go about it, with a 1:31.6, a very good lap time for Jacko, and we've had so many pole sitters, so many winners so far in this season, and I think it is only Jacko's second pole of the season. Yes, it is our 6 pole sitters, and that's Jacko's second of the season. We've had 9 winners in total this season so far, and one of the guys who hasn't won yet is Dom, and of course he's 1 point behind in the championship.
So the grid then for the race in Sochi, we've got Jacko on pole position, followed by Magic Poop Cannon and Camo Babo with an impressive return to the series. Blair Grills, an impressive P4 with his Alpine teammate Chris Johnson in P5. Wet Lemons is 6th, followed by Baza. Alex Zaffro in P8 for AlphaTauri. Sayer Sports in his Ferrari. Mike Noon just about makes the top 10. And Serton Penguin is in P11. Angel vs. Death follows in P12, followed by Indecisive Mackie. Red Bull Kim in the top 14. He'll be hoping to retain that in the race. Kaya, Stereogram, Parsa, and Mr. John are the drivers who complete the grid.
So, as we were saying, without the top 2 in the championship, Jacko and Poop Cannon, Chris Johnson, big opportunity for them. Jacko's 30 points behind Dom on 128, and then we have Chris Johnson on 119. Daniel P. Wheelnut as well. Now, sadly, he's not here tonight, but he also could have got himself involved. He's on 107 points, and then Magic Poop Cannon on 106, and Parset on 103. But it's a bright, sunny day. Only a small percent chance of rain, we believe. And let's hope, Roy, that we have a cleaner start in this race than we did in the TGP1 race around Russia last week, which was a crazy start.
Yeah, my race lasting all of about 200 meters. It was my first retirement in a long time. So yeah, hopefully a cleaner start. And the lights are coming on now. We have 5 lights on here in Russia. And we are eventually away in Sochi, and it looks like Jacko's got a good start. Magic Poop Cannon getting a lot of wheel spin off the start, but it's ERT Camo Baba who takes the lead. A brilliant start from the Aston Martin driver. Blair Grills is now up into P2. Jacko's now down to 3rd, but he does have a long run now. Now, who will make it through turn 2? Will they make it through cleanly? And it looks like they certainly do at the front. Jacko runs a little bit wide, takes a bit of curb, but it's Camo Babo who takes the lead from P3 on the grid. We've got a Haas off in the background. It's Kaya in the background as well as Red Bull Kim, but Camo Babo leads. You've got a McLaren on the inside of the Mercedes. Now it's Magic Poop Cannon. He holds the position by running off the track ahead of Wet Lemons, but Magic Poop Cannon retains a top 4 spot. But then again, he started on the front row, so the front row have dropped to 3rd and 4th.
They have indeed, and we've seen Dom get some good starts in that Aston Martin, and Camo Babo has done the same thing. What a flyer he got. Flying start by Camo Babo to take the lead of the race. And as you say, Jacko and Magic Poop Cannon relegated to 3rd and 4th for the time being. Poop Cannon right on Jacko, though, as they head down to complete the second sector. I think I've seen a spin of McLaren. It must have been Parse, who had a decent start, but then had a bit of a spin later on in the lap. And let's see if Poop Cannon can maybe have a go here at Jacko. I think the top 2 are as they are for now. Can Poop Cannon fancy a dive down the inside? No, he won't go for it. But Jacko runs quite wide, and this could give Poop Cannon a chance.
Yeah, Poop Cannon had a lot of traction out of that corner, but no real space to use. And now he's got a McLaren up his inside, but the McLaren eventually gives way. So Jacko in this early stage, it looks like he's struggling slightly. And Magic Poop Cannon's got a much better exit out of that corner, and he's up the inside of the penultimate corner here in Sochi. He takes P3 away from Jacko, almost loses it again, but he runs wide at the final corner. That will compromise his exit because that curb does slow you down. So Jacko is now in the slipstream of the Mercedes of Magic Poop Cannon. Now, can he take the lead as we see the Amazon pit strategy at an actual decent time for once? Thank you, Amazon. So we expect the drivers to pit sometime between lap 5 and 12. It's a bit vague, going to be honest. But Jacko stays behind Magic Poop Cannon. And Wet Lemons is now all over up the inside of turn 3. Hopefully they'll go side by side and give each other the racing room that they need. They almost bang wheels. They're side by side through turn 4. Jacko clouts the curb, but it's Wet Lemons that goes around the outside and takes P4.
Great move by Wet Lemons, and Bazza has gone for a spin just as his teammate was overtaken by Wet Lemons at the same corner. Jacko goes for a spin, Bazza goes for a spin, but he has got away with it, no problems, and we don't need any safety car or VSC. So Camo Babo then has a decent lead from Blair Grills, just under a second. Blair Grills will have DRS on the next lap, of course, and there's a bit of a gap to Poop Cannon. Wet Lemons, well, he seems to have really good pace at the moment in this race, and it's not wet as well for a change, and he's got very good pace. I just wonder if Chris Johnson might be gaining on Jacko now as well. Jacko really fallen back here. He has not had a good start to this race at all.
Yeah, Jacko running in P5. It's Chris Johnson on the back of him now. Chris Johnson is known for making up positions in the race. His race pace does tend to be stronger than his qualifying, but he also tends to avoid incidents that certain drivers do get involved in. So he's having a decent run in P6, and he'll be hoping that he can retain some pace towards the end, as Mike Noon is all over the back of the AlphaTauri of Alex Zaffro, who himself is all over the back of Sayre Sports. So Sayre Sports in the Ferrari causing a bit of a train here. Now Alex Zaffro will have an almighty slipstream down into turn 2, and assume he'll have DRS because it has been enabled this lap. Now Alex Zaffro has got the DRS, Sayre Sports does not, but Sayre Sports has a lot of straight line speed, but Alex Zaffro is now up the inside. Will he give each other room? They touch.
Oh!
They've touched. I think Alex Zaffro was squeezed a little bit there. I feel like he could have been given a bit more room. As Mike Noon.
He clouted the curb.
Yeah, clouted the curb and spun the car around. So he's going to have positions to make up now as Sayre Sports and Mike Noon do battle into turn 5. Sayre Sports runs a bit wide, and Mike Noon swoops up the inside. And Mike Noon is now up into P7 after starting 10th.
Brilliant battle from these two at the moment. Mike Noon and Sayre Sports constantly overtaking each other all the way through that first sector, and constantly running a bit wide as well there as they find different lines around the racetrack. I wonder if Joe Sayre might fancy a go back on Mike down his DRS. He might be a bit too far back though. Blair Grills is getting closer and closer to Camo Babo, but luckily for Camo Babo, the corner arrives just in time, although he might be right on him in a moment, as they've also got Wet Lemons very close to Poop Cannon as well. I think we could see a few moves down this next straight at the start of lap 4.
As Parsa sails past Mr. John on that DRS zone at the back of the circuit. But Wet Lemons, as you said, all over the back of Magic Poop Cannon in the Mercedes. But he'll be looking to get a good exit now. He takes a good bit of curb, which may not have been the best exit for Wet Lemons, but he is in the slipstream now, and he does have DRS, which crucially Magic Poop Cannon does not have. So how is the straight line speed for the McLaren? How defensive will Magic Poop Cannon decide to go? Not very is the answer to that. He lets him have the inside line, and Magic Poop Cannon happy to concede the position for now. So Wet Lemons has now found himself in a podium position as Blair Grills is now getting ever closer to Camo Babo. The gap is now just half a second.
Tremendous drive by Wet Lemons then so far, and as you say, Poop Cannon made that very easy, didn't he? Probably realising the great pace that Wet Lemons has got so far in this race and did not bother to fight it. I wonder if he can, or how much he can close the gap on the top two ahead, as if we have our first penalty in the race. That goes to Angel versus Death in 14th place. Obviously, it is quite easy to get a penalty around here, such is the nature of the track, and the runoffs can be very easy to do. So on lap 4, we're going to be entering pit stop strategy phase at any moment. I wonder who will be the first to risk it from the front runners, as Poop Cannon is closing in a little bit here on Wet Lemon. He's coming back at him down the straight. Can he get him? No, he cannot.
And we've seen this a few times at Magic Poop Cannon. He seems to be happy to kind of sit in the slipstream of another driver and then attack towards the end. I don't think he likes to be the driver in front. He likes to be the driver putting the pressure on. He likes to be the hunter rather than the hunted. So no pit stops up at the front. Oh, I'm corrected as Wet Lemons dives into the pits. He decides to go for an early pit stop, which is a bit of an odd one, I have to say. His pace looked quite strong, but he's looking to have an undercut. Now, I think there isn't a huge gap between the compounds
Oh,
at this circuit, but Wet Lemons, Mike Noon, and Indecisive Mackie are the first to pit.
is indeed. Yeah, just seen Parser almost going to the back of Josiah there as he going on the final corner, but got away with it. And in fact, Parser can't even make any inroads down the straight to overtake him down the DRS zone. I think you mentioned Say Sports just straight line speed, and I think it was pretty evident there. He had a bit of a dodgy exit through turn 2, though. Turn 3, just wondering if Parser can get near him here, maybe go for it. No, he decides not to. So let's see then if Wet Lemons is going to have any sort of traffic. I don't think he is. He's come out just ahead of Kaya, which is fantastic for him. And we'll see how much time he can make up on the top two once they pit.
Yeah, nice clean air we have for Wet Lemons. I've put the gap up to the leader so we can see how that goes. It's Sayer Sports and officially Parsa goes side by side. Parsa goes around
Nice
the
move.
outside. And yeah, very nice move. He's up into P6. So Parsa from the back of the grid now finds himself in 6th, which would be a net P7 once he pits.
Well, indeed, and just seeing here, if Say Sports going to come back at him, Parser's totally run out of energy. So this might be an easy retaker position for Josiah, and it will indeed be an easy retaker position for Josiah back into 6th place. So these two doing battle. It'll be interesting to see where Mike Noon comes out after these guys pit as well, because he was in this battle. To the top two pit, Blair Grills pits. Karen Babo decides to stay out and go again as Blair Grills slammed on the brakes, but it was too early, and then he pushed and got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, there is a button you can press to enable the pit limiter before you actually enter the pits. Yeah, and also Sertan Penguin picked up damage in his AlphaTauri. He did hit the back of, I believe it was Parsa, so he has to come into the pits. And will he have to queue because his teammate was just in the pits? And no, he does not, thankfully for him. But the gap now, Wet Lemons, he was 28.7 seconds back from the leader. He's caught up by half a second, so his pace is good, but it's not groundbreaking. So I think he's looking good to hold on for this podium position on the circuit at least. But Magic Poop Cannon is within a second.
Yeah, Wet Lemons not gained as much time as I thought he would. I have to say, Magic Poop Cannon is still right on him. I know his tyres will be a lot fresher now as well, of course. As I say, Sports and Kaya are doing battle. As I Sports managed to get ahead, and Mike Nunes fell back quite a bit actually from the battle that he was having with Josiah, and we'll see what happens once the likes of Parser and Chris Johnson pit as well, and Jacko as well, still to pit, and then we will have a big showdown to the flag. Very clean race so far, you have to say, so fair play to all of the drivers, as Stereogram seems to be closing a little bit here on Angel versus Death. Don't think either of these two have pitted. Stereogram might go for a move here, you know. It's can he get this done on the inside? Oh, they got a touch, and Stereogram goes for a spin. He was having a great race. That's such a shame. As Camo Babo pits finally.
Stereogram's out.
Oh, now will this be a safety car, or will it be a safety car?
Full safety car deployed, and Camo Babo will get a bit of a benefit from that, but Chris Johnson and Jacko will reap all the rewards from this safety car. Now, how far up can they end up in the order? That is the question. Jacko and Chris Johnson. Now, Camo Babo will easily come out ahead of Blair Grills. And Blair Grills, now he has this 5-second penalty. And the field is now bunched up. But at the same time,
that's not good.
The field is quite close anyway. So if he does pit under the safety car, he's going to lose positions regardless. So he might as well just stay out. And I thought we had another retirement there. It's actually just the safety car. So my apologies. But I should know better because we don't actually have the yellow dot for Renault anymore. But safety car is waiting for Jacko and Chris Johnson to eventually retake their positions. Camo Babo is about 16 seconds behind Chris Johnson. Now, is that enough time to get out ahead? It's a very slow and a long enough pit lane, so I don't think it'll be enough for that. But I think Jacko they were running 5th and 6th on the road. So
yeah, they were 5th and 6th. I'd be surprised if they do manage to come out ahead, but we'll see. Maybe if Jacko floors it a little bit and gets a bit cheeky with the delta, because you can can effectively break the delta as long as you get into the pit lane and you're under the speed limit and you don't get any penalty for it. But here comes Jacko and Chris Johnson. Kyle Babo's coming around the dodgy 10, 15, 16 right now as Chris Johnson, Jacko both come in. I think Kyle Babo's going to take the lead, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, you would definitely assume so. It's just a question of how far up Jacko and Chris Johnson can end up. They do have fresher tyres, but the tyres don't really drop off massively around here. So it's not going to be a huge advantage. Camo Babo drives past Jacko, who's still in the pits. Blair Grills also drives past, but will he get ahead of the McLaren? It's going to be tight, I think. Wet Lemons is going to end up behind Jacko, so Jacko has moved himself back up into the podium places. So it's Camo Babo from Blair Grills from Jacko, but really it's actually Camo Babo from Jacko from Wet Lemons, because Blair Grills does have that 5-second penalty that he does need to shake off.
Well, that was a big help for Jacko, wasn't it? Yeah, he really struggled. Had a struggle first 5-6 laps of this race. Managed to pit under the safety car and has jumped Wet Lemons, who overtook him, and Magic Poop Cannon, who overtook him. So brilliant stuff for Jacko, and he'll get a second bite at trying to stay ahead of these guys once we get going again. Camo Babo, I have to say, probably looks like he's in a fairly comfortable position at the moment, with the guy behind him having a penalty as he follows the Aston Martin safety car in the Aston Martin, leading the race.
So, yeah, Blair Grills is just going to have to keep it clean and just try to build a 5-second gap on, well, as many people as he possibly can. So Chris Johnson didn't really work out, although he may have been behind Parsa if that safety car didn't come out. So I suppose maybe for Chris Johnson it did work out a little bit, but we've got Parsa in 7th from the back of the grid, Mr. John in 8th also from the back of the grid. I think Mike Noon and Bazza would be two to watch out for, because they're at the back, but they have more pace than that. They had incidents earlier on in the race. In fact, I'm not sure Mike Noon did. Did Mike Noon just pit for fresh tyres, or did he have an incident?
Mike Noon stopped twice. I don't know maybe if Mike Noon had an instance after his first stop, but he decides to come in again once the safety car came out, and I think Bazza did the same as well. Although we did see Bazza have a spin early on, didn't we, on lap 3 or lap 4, so he's made a second stop as well. So they're both at the very back of the grid. Mike Noon on mediums, Bazza on softs, so perhaps Bazza could have a strong finish this race, although he does have a 3-second corner cut penalty to deal with, as too does Angel versus Death and Alex Afro. And of course we have Blair Grills there as well with that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So presumably this will be the final lap under safety car, as Kaya now also finally pits.
Yeah, it's a pretty long lap, especially under safety car. So yeah, we just have another tour of this magnificent motorsport facility built on the Black Sea, of course, the Black Sea resort of Sochi, where we of course had the Winter Olympics. In fact, actually, it's not even in Sochi; it's actually in Adler. It's just that Sochi is the nearest city, so therefore it's Sochi with the namesake. But there's your fun fact. Yeah, fun fact of the day.
I wouldn't say fun, but yeah, decent fact.
Oh, okay, well, each to one's own. As we see the Aston Martin with its very high front wing. It's got a lot of ground clearance, that Aston Martin, compared to the other cars. I don't know if that's something you've ever noticed before, but...
yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, you're right, actually.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of lift on it. But hey,
I will say, Co-Masters, I've done a good job, or do a good job with this track, with all the Olympic buildings and all that around the track. It does look good. Oh my God, can't believe I nearly hit the safety car.
I do think people are slightly harsh on Herman Tilke when it comes to this track, because he was kind of just presented with a Sochi Autodrome shape to design a track within. There wasn't really much room to do anything else. But the circuit is what it is. Everyone has their opinions on it.
And it won't be around for much longer, thankfully.
unless the rumours are true that it will be alternating with Igora Drive
Oh, okay.
near St. Petersburg. But it's
Well,
Camo Babo who'll be
here we
leading
go
us
for the
away.
restart. Yeah, Kyle was in AI mode, but quite rightly he's now come out of that, and he's going to start to back up the pack as he waits for that Aston Martin safety car to come into the pit lane, and we will be able to get going once again, and he will know that the guy behind him has a penalty, and I think Kamababa's already gone for it.
It's already
Yes, he
gone. The
has already
safety
gone
car,
for it.
though, is still trying to come into the pits.
Oh, will it slow him down? I don't think it has.
Didn't slow him down, so Camo Babo. Well, I mean, he's got a 9/10 gap now over Blair Grills, but Blair Grills himself is nearly a second clear of Jacko, so everyone's a bit spaced out, apart from these two, Magic Poop Cannon and Wet Lemons. So Magic Poop Cannon now all over the back of Wet Lemons. Who has got the superior straight line speed? It looks to be Wet Lemons in the McLaren, so he will retain P4 ahead of Magic Poop Cannon. This is good news for Blair Grills, though. The more cars that do battle behind him, the better it is for him, because he can then pull away from the cars behind. But it's Wet Lemons who retains the position, and they're not side by side anymore. And I spoke too soon, because Magic Poop Cannon gets a much better exit out of turn 4. He's now up the inside of turn 5, and Magic Poop Cannon, with a superior cornering ability, has P4.
He does indeed, and now he'll be chasing Jacko.
Oh, there's damage. There's damage for Parsa. He came together with Chris Johnson through turn 7, and couldn't really tell what happened. The angle wasn't that great, but Parsa is the one with the damage, and he's going to drop down the order now, because that's quite a significant chunk of wing that's gone. He's got Mr. John all over the back of him now. Mr. John having a very solid race, looking to take P7 from officially Parsa. He's not going to do it in the braking zone, or is he? Because Parsa will understeer through here, and well, everywhere really.
Chris Johnson and Wet Lemons make contact.
The two McLarens.
Parsons hits him. Oh dear, disaster. He didn't ghost in time, Wet Lemons, and Parsa now, well, that's all his front wing gone now, I imagine, and same for Wet Lemons as well. Terrible for McLaren. They'll have to get the front wings out.
Yeah, and this has allowed Alex Zaffro to move himself up into P6. Mr. John is still in P7. I think it's only damage for the McLaren of Parsa in that incident. I don't think anyone else collected him. He
Parsa stayed out incredibly, and he's got no front wing.
Well, it's a choice. But yeah, so his teammate, however, Wet Lemons, does decide to pit. But yeah, it's Alex Zaffro and Mr. John fighting each other for P6. Magic Poop Cannon is now looking to take that P3 on the road away from Jacko. Blair Grills is only 1.6 seconds up the road, make that 1.7. I don't think he's going to pull away by 5 seconds unless these two do some serious battling and start holding each other up.
Yeah, I think Blair Grills at the moment looks like he's set to finish possibly 5th maybe, behind Jacko, Poop Cannon and Chris Johnson, as Parson is now out of the race. Parson out of the race then after he just went straight into his teammate who was having a battle with Chris Johnson. I think Wet Lemons might be a little bit annoyed about that instance. I just caught the end of it. So we'll see what happens at that one in the post-race with the stewards. Poop Cannon can't get near Jacko this time around though for what would be a second place across the finish line. But he's got another 2 laps.
Yeah, Magic Poop Cannon doesn't seem to have the best straight line speed. Actually, let's get a bit of telemetry up on the screen. He does have a fair bit of battery deployment left, but then again, actually, Jacko has more. So, but we're pointing out, though, Magic Poop Cannon will eventually have the DRS. I don't think, will it be this lap that it gets enabled? It will be indeed. So Magic Poop Cannon, as he runs very wide out of the final corner and loses a bit of ground, he may not actually get the DRS. I think he's just about made it. So Magic Poop Cannon will open his rear wing, and he is gaining on Jacko, but he's nowhere near close enough. So he's going to have to put it all together in these final 2 laps here in Sochi. Yeah,
Blair Grills is managing to pull away from Jacko a bit because he's just got DRS from Camo Babo as well and almost passed him for the lead. As Josiah, again, Mike Newman and Josiah do a battle, and Josiah got very close to Mike Newman but couldn't overtake him. I'm sure he'll have a go on the final lap of this race. Is indecisive, has to sit on Penguin for 11th. So Blair Grills then within a second to Camo Babo. Maybe if he can just stay within his DRS, he'll be able to pull away a little bit more, but I think he's still probably set for a 5th place finish, but it might be 4th if he can pull away from Chris Johnson as well. Yeah, Chris Johnson not looking as quick as his Alpine teammate. Now, they have played the team game before, so maybe they'll be on the radio
to each other in a party chat, and you might be saying, well, Chris, back off a little bit, please. But then again, when you're fighting for P4, P5, it's not a podium. Does it really matter all that much
And
in the
Chris
end?
is fighting for the championship as well, isn't he? This is a big chance to make inroads on the top two.
Exactly. So, I mean, if they're going to finish fourth and fifth, regardless, it doesn't really matter which way they finish. Although, actually, as you said, Chris Johnson would actually be better off in P4 because he does have a sniff of the Drivers' Championship. So, Camo Babo then, still leading on the road, and Blair Grills will not get the DRS on this lap. He's just outside that 1 second.
This is Poop Cannon's chance.
Magic Poop Cannon.
This is his chance.
DRS wide open. He's got the inside line on Jacko. Jacko goes defensive. A bit late, it has to be said, but Magic Poop Cannon easily ahead into turn 2. Now, Jacko will surely get a better exit as Magic Poop Cannon runs quite wide. No penalty given. So the Alfa Romeo now all over the back of the Mercedes. Will he have a lunge up the inside of turn 4? He does indeed, but decides to get out of it. Magic Poop Cannon running a bit wide again on the exit of turn 4, but he retains that podium position, which will actually be P2 because of Blair Grills' penalty.
Yeah, it'll be 18 points for Magic Poop Cannon if he can hold on to this just when he needs it. Well, the top two are away. They'll be back next week. But it looks like Jacko will just be behind as well. But I think Jacko might still have one more chance down this DRS straight that they are approaching. Blair Grills, again, I think he's just going to stay behind Cameron Babo and get the DRS and see what happens. But this is Jacko's final chance. Now, will he risk it? Will he go for a bit of a dive bomb? Poop Cannon's clearly out of energy. Jacko's going to go for it around the outside. This is going to be a brilliant move if he manages it. Poop Cannon tries to stay in there, and Poop Cannon does, but Jacko's got the inside line now. There's still outside. Jacko spun. Jacko has spun. Can he get going again before Chris Johnson arrives? No, he can't. Oh, he's going to lose out in so many positions.
Jacko has dropped down to P6 after contact with Magic Poop Cannon. I couldn't really tell from the angle if that was Jacko understeering into Magic Poop Cannon or if Magic Poop Cannon turned in a little bit too much. But it's Camo Babo who wins here in Sochi. Camo Babo wins in Russia ahead of Magic Poop Cannon, and Blair Grills retains his podium place because of that collision. Chris Johnson is in P4, followed by Jacko, Alex Afro, the Red Bulls of Mike Noon, who's currently backwards, and Mr. John in P8, Sayer Sports and Bazza rounding out the top 10. So
incredible. Mike Noon managed the top 10 finish after that. After pitting twice there, he must have flew through a lot of cars at the restart. We were focused on the events up towards the front, but Jacko, wow, I mean, we've seen him have instances, haven't we, in France and Silverstone, and obviously in Spa, the last race when he didn't pit for and lost a load of positions at the end, a couple of positions. He crashed in Monza. Jacko's missed out on so many points this season, and there's another set of points missed out on.
Yeah, so, well, here we are, the podium. Camo Babo will be delighted with that on his return to TGP2. Race victory here in Sochi, and it was a dominant display. He took the lead at the start from P3, got a brilliant start, didn't even need the slipstream, he was actually ahead before turn 1, and just controlled the race from there. Blair Grills, he was close, but never really pressured him for an overtake, and Magic Poop Cannon, I think, will be rather delighted with P2. Now, will that incident with Jacko could go to the stewards, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Of course, do check out the TGP website and you'll find out all the info.
10 winners in 13 races now, incredibly. Camo Babo takes that win, and I also just discovered, thanks to Dom, that Camo and Blair are brothers, which I was unaware of, I have to say. So that's a Blair brother 1 and 3 there, that result.
I was actually aware of that, but I honestly forgot. So, yeah, the two siblings on the podium with Magic Poop Cannon with them just outside the top 10. The final point scorers were Indecisive Mackie, Serton Penguin, Red Bull Kim and Kaya, with Wet Lemons missing out on the points after looking good for a podium.
So I will do some of my famously bad or famously quick maths before working out what the championship standings are.
Famously provisional as well.
Yes, very much provisional, of course, because certain instances could, of course, possibly go to the stewards and be looked at later on. Of course, all the information of all the full results is on is on the website. TGP does have a website, and on the Twitter account as well.
So after racing at one of the jewels of the modern Formula One calendar, here we have Suzuka. Or rather, an abstract interpretation of the Suzuka circuit. But, well, I think we'll talk more about the track when we actually have better pictures of it and not just the lobby. But, yeah, Russia providing an interesting race, as we usually get with TGP2. It's hardly a surprise. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they tackle Japan. It's a very difficult circuit.
Well, I mean, TGP2 is always very, very fun to watch around Japan, and we always get good races around Japan in TGP2. Qualifying is always a bit of a spectacle as well, because it can be very tricky to put a lap together. In fact, especially on this game, I have to say. So it might be doubly difficult today. So I'm really looking forward to this, because TGP won last week. We had the wet race, first wet session, or first wet race. A bit of rain in Baku, didn't we? In TGP1 last week. But a few wet races already in TGP2 this season. Let's see if we get another one around Suzuka.
And everyone's in the lobby, as far as I'm aware, so I'm not sure if we're waiting on someone or what the story is.
Not too sure, but what I am sure about is the championship standings, which I will be able to bring you in just a moment.
Right.
Right, here we go. So current championship standings then look like this. Obviously we've got Hickman retained his lead on 159 points, Dom on 158, then we've got Jacko on 138. He could have had a bit more, of course. He could have had second place perhaps in that race, but had that spin at the end. So he's 20 points back from Dom on 138. We've got Chris on 131, Pubcan on 124. So that is how it looks at this moment in time.
Still very much all to play for. We still have, is it 7 races left?
I think it's more than that. This is round 14, isn't it? 2, 3,
So
4,
9.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9 races to go. Yeah, we have also got very close constructors as well, but it's always a bit awkward trying to work out the constructors' standings live. But we've only got one Mercedes today. Mercedes will lead in the championship on 213 points, and it was Alfa on 207, Aston Martin on 204, and Alpine on 203. So I think Alfa Romeo would have picked up some points there. Alpine certainly would have done. Obviously, Pupkanen still had a decent result, so he'll pick up some points as well. But I think that Constructors' Championship is going to go right to the very end of the season as well, and will be contested between multiple teams, no doubt, come the end.
So we're gearing up for qualifying in Suzuka. Let's see what the weather brings. Always quite unpredictable at this track. Well, it looks pretty clear to me. But will the race be a different story? Because, of course, it was in TGP1, much to my eventual disgust.
Yes, he had two DNFs last week, didn't he, of course?
Yeah, one was self-inflicted.
I was not expecting. Just looking here at Alex Zafro's stream, and it looks as though it's going to be a sunny race. So it looks like we're going to be in for dry conditions all the way through here at Suzuka. 15% chance of rain, I'm told.
So an 85% chance that it won't rain.
That it won't rain, exactly, yeah. So these guys will, of course, hope that it does not rain. But anyway, great track, Suzuka. And as they always mention when I do commentary in TGP2, they have to be so careful. The very first corner at the S's, because if you hit that curb, you will spin. But to be fair, on this game, there's several other corners where it's very easy to spin around here as well.
Yes, also, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this track on this game, I've got to say. Despite it normally being one of my favourite tracks, as Parson who spins on the outlap. But ironically, I had my best grid position of the season around here, but it was probably because I was running a dry setup, whereas everyone else decided to tweak theirs a little bit, and well, look who ended up paying the price for that.
Of course, let's not forget, we do have the Red Bulls in this race, and of course, the Red Bulls are running the livery that is now on the game for a short time, and of course, perfect timing for us because it is just as we go to Japan. And
which, of course,
Mike Noon.
They didn't do in real life. You know why?
Yes.
But yeah, so we've a special Honda thank you livery. Because, of course, Honda are leaving Formula One. Their personnel aren't, but it's just Honda as an organisation are leaving. As the McLaren starts a lap very, very close behind the Red Bull of Mike Noon. Now, who is that? That is Parsa, starting a lap right behind Mike Noon.
Oh, my word.
They're racing each other into turn one, and, well, I mean, I think that's Parsa's lap gone. I think Mike Noon has just about got away with it. I think he retained the racing line, but it's very going to be a bit distracting to have the McLaren right behind. And Mike Noon spins.
He's spun.
So Parsa did get an almighty slipstream down the pit straight, followed by some dirty air. So I don't think this is really going to be an optimal first sector from Parsa. Somehow that was valid, but Parsa then, on his first flying lap of the session.
He spun! Oh, he's had a big crash. Oh, he's out the session. That's identical to what Eddie Irvine did when he was fighting for the championship in 1999 around here. Identical accident there, just because we're approaching a hairpin, just loses it on the entry and is out of the session. We've got indecisive out of the session as well. I did say to expect errors around here, and 2 drivers out already.
And I will say the camera angle that was provided to me was absolutely useless.
What for the passing crash?
Well, it did actually. It showed how he went off, but then the camera just stayed.
Oh, Kaya's off. Sorry.
And Kaya's out.
We've
another DNF. Kaya did at least set a lap. As Blair Grill slots into second behind Wet Lemons, who has provisional pole. And there's a Ferrari on a lap. Was on a lap. But Sarah Sports decides to jump into the pits as Camo Babo by over 0.3 of a second, goes onto provisional pole. Sir Tom Penguin has invalidated his lap.
I was going to say it comes Poop Cannon, but he's obviously had an error midway through the lap because I don't think that's his true pace. But we said to expect errors in this session, and we've got 3 drivers out already. We've still got 13 minutes to go. It's always an interesting one in Japan in TGP2, and this looks no different at all.
Jacko currently on a lap. He's going to get a bit of a tow from the Haas in front of him.
He spun.
He was going to, but he spun at Spoon, and that's Jacko's lap ruined. You'd imagine he'll just dive straight into the pits, because that is not going to be representative whatsoever. Now, Baza hasn't validated his lap. Chris Johnson is on a lap, and so far it's valid. Okay. Well, he's not. It doesn't look like he's pushing all that much. Let's just get a quick look at the telemetry.
But it does say when payable, although there is his first lap, so he usually does that for anybody on the first lap. It says that they've gone purple in the sectors. But yeah, it certainly seems clean enough so far, doesn't it?
Yeah, he sacrificed a lot of speed into the first Degner. I think Chris Johnson, he's someone who in general likes to play it safe, I'd say. He prefers to just get the car home. So Chris Johnson, if he can set a valid lap, he'll jump into the top 8 by default. So, let's see, Magic Poop Cannon does actually go quicker. So, he had a scruffy first lap and is now on provisional pole with a 1:29.6. as Chris Johnson not really getting the braking performance he would have wanted in that chicane. Round the final corner he goes, and it's P4.
P4 for the time being. That's a good lap by Pubcan, and 4 tenths clear of Camo Babo in second place then. Oh, wow, Mike Noon, how did he not spin there? Just managed to keep the car going.
Chris Johnson.
As they've got a lot of drivers out on outlaps right now. Has Chris Johnson spun? He has spun, yeah. Chris Johnson's gone for a spin.
Sertan Penguin on a lap. He's gone through Spoon, missed the apex through the second part of the complex. He's now got this long run up to 130. I think his teammate probably could have helped a little bit more and given him slipstream, but oh well. Sertan Penguin through 130 easy flat nowadays, not really considered much of a challenge. Through the chicane he goes in the AlphaTauri. Sadly we don't have their tweaked thank you livery, but Sertan Penguin crosses the line and jumps himself up into P7. But then again, worth reminding you, only 9 cars have actually set laps. But as Sertan Penguin spins on his in lap.
Yeah, as Mike Noon spins as well. So it goes past Sertan Penguin and then he spins. They're all taking a lot of the curb, and this is what it's like at this track. I actually done it last week during qualifying as well. Hit the curbs at one stage, went for a spin. The curbs are lethal around here.
Yeah, it's a combination of a slightly dodgy track and slightly dodgy physics. If I were to be a bit harsh, as Mike Noon nearly spins again on, it's an in-lap now. We have a McLaren on an out-lap. So is there anyone who's actually on a flyer at this moment?
We've got Joe Sayer on a lap.
Joe Sayer
on a decent lap so far.
So, well, he'll get a guaranteed top 10 if he can just set this lap and keep it valid. Through Spoon he goes. Looks like he's hit both apexes. Goes a little bit wide through the slight curve in the straight. And 130 easy flat. Not really getting a sector time. Actually, I should probably enable that. But we'll watch Sayer Sports finish his lap first. Through the chicane he goes. Maybe slightly late to turn in to the left-hander. And he crosses the line. And it's P5.
So Sayer Sports gets the lap on the board. Blair Grills has spun on his outlap and has completely cut at the second deck there as a result. We couldn't do anything about it. So it doesn't affect them in any way. As Alex Zafra moves up into 5th place then. So Mike Noon's invalidates his lap. Is Jacko on a lap? I think he is. I think it might be worth watching Jacko here because 9 minutes to go in the session. Still hasn't got a lap in.
Yeah, so Jacko through the Degners. Keeps it valid up to this point.
Well, I can tell you he was a 10th quicker than Poop Cannon in the first sector. So good first sector for Jacko. So
Jacko's on the pace. Runs a tiny bit deep in the second part of the hairpin. Through the 200 he goes. Long run down to Spoon. Now Spoon, you want to be precise through here. You want to hit both apexes. You want to touch all 3 curves. Well, maybe not the curves on this game, but you get the idea. And it's a long run now to 130 No DRS down this straight, of course, because 130 whilst it is an easy corner to take in a Formula 1 car, not so much with DRS open. They probably could do it, but not in a racing scenario. So you want to hit both curbs through here. Jacko does just that. Now, will he take a tight line to the line? Yes, he does. And he goes second.
So just 3 tenths off Poop Cannon then. So that's decent stuff by Jacko, and he'll no doubt go again for one more lap, and we'll see if he can improve further. So who else is on a lap? Mike Nguyen is invalidated. I think he's had an instance actually. It looks like he's missing a bit of front wing there. But Bazza is just behind him. Yeah, and Mike Nguyen gets out the way. Bazza on the medium tyres though, which is interesting.
Bazza curly up for a different strategy, perhaps expecting a safety car.
Wet Lemon's a bit further ahead of Bazza. I think he's about to improve here.
Wet Lemon's crossing the line. How tight does he take the final corner? Very, in fact, and he jumps himself up into P3. And we see Bazza round the final corner. He jumps himself up into P10 on the medium tyres. He'll be hoping to stay there, but he's not giving himself the largest of margins.
Blair Grills is 6 tenths up on his previous lap at the moment. I think he could be about to improve, possibly, maybe get himself in the top 5, maybe. Ahead of his teammate might be the goal for the time being. comes around the final corner, does not take the tight line, and is instead just behind his teammates.
And if he took the tighter line, he would have been fifth.
Well, yeah, he probably would have gone ahead. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, you do definitely gain a few hundredths through that final corner if you do keep a tight line. Now, Magic Poop Cannon is on an in lap or an out lap. No, it should be an in lap because it's normally tells you when they've left the pits.
Yeah, Blake Hills has also now spun on his in lap as well. A lot of drivers spinning on their in laps, it looks like, don't they? At the moment.
Ironic.
I think Baz has gone again. Baz has gone for another lap on the medium tyres. Maybe Baz has obviously seen so many drivers crash out the session. I was thinking maybe he can get into the top 10 on mediums and start the race from there, and maybe have a decent strategy for the race perhaps as he flies through 130R, and he might have a little bit of a toke for Red Bull Kimmy as well. Hopefully not too much dirty air through the final chicane. Get a good exit, and he also takes the inside tight line and goes up into ninth.
So he's given himself a bit of breathing room. Engine versus Death improves his time and stays in the top 10. So I think in terms of the top 10, I think it's really just Sir Tom Penguin and Mike Noon who can actually move themselves up into that top 10 based on previous form and qualifying. Because, of course, Parsa is out of the session. So Angel vs. Death could find himself in the top 10 here, which would be a pretty strong result for the Haas driver.
Oh my word, Sir Tom Penguin was just gone purple in the middle sector, it said. I don't know if it was true, but he was 1.3 seconds up on his time, so it's going to be a big improvement no matter what for Sir Tom Penguin. As long as he doesn't drop it here, of course, but he will not do that. He'll enable DRS and he'll cross the line, and he will go up into 7th place ahead of his teammate Alex Afro.
So decent lap there from Sir Tom Penguin.
Chris Johnson seemed like he was on a decent lap as well, but decides to pit.
Sarah Sports, I think, is on a lap. He's just come out of the second corner, took a lot of curb at turn 3, but somehow has kept it on the track and in the right direction. But he's almost lost it through turn 5. It's very, very tricky first sector around here. Through Dunlop corner he goes. He's still pushing. So we'll see what his first sector time is like. In fact, we won't because I still forgot to enable that.
Well, he was up. He's up by a 10.5 in his lap so far. Looks like he's catching these two Alpha Tauris as well. Might be able to give him a little bit of a slipstream as he's on the run to 130R perhaps.
So Sayer Sports currently running in P9. He'll be looking to elevate himself a little bit further. He's very close to Alex Afro in P8 just ahead. So if he can string it all together, he'll be aiming with yellow flags in all 3 sectors apparently. I don't know what that was about, but Sayer Sports now on the run to 130. He's 3/10 up on his lap. He could find himself in 7th here if he can get this final chicane all good. Takes a tight line through the chicane so he can maximise his exit. He's just run out of deployment and he jumps up to 8th.
I think there's definitely time to farm for Jose, especially in the first sector, but there's only 3 minutes 20 seconds left in the session. I'm not sure if that will be enough for him to get back in, get a fresh set of tyres on and get back out again, but we've got the top 3 now out on the out laps, and no doubt Kamababa will follow, and the 2 Alpines and Sir Tom Penguin as well. It's going to be a frantic finish to this qualifying session as we'll see if the likes of Buchanan, Jacko can get themselves a pole position. Right now it's Buchanan, but Jacko will want it, and I think Jacko is about to start his lap now. He's going to be one of the first of the big runners to cross the line and complete the lap, although actually we do have Safe Sports and Alex Afro already on laps, and they've set decent first sectors. Safe Sports apparently was purple in the first sector, so he's obviously gone again for another lap, and the graphics certainly said he was purple. Don't know if he was legitimately.
Well, it told me he was purple as well, but we do know what the game is like. Apparently I set a purple sector in the qualifying session 2 weeks ago, so or last week I should say, but we'll see what happens as Sayer Sports is driving down the long run to 130R. He is 2/10 up on his previous time, so
I think Jacko's messed up his first lap because he's way off in the first sector, so he's backed off early. He's going to have to go again.
Sayer Sports, then we have that mysterious yellow flag issue once again, but Sayer Sports crosses the line and he's up to 5th.
Good lap by Jose. Alex Afro always 3 tenths down now on his lap, so I don't think he's going to improve here. He doesn't. Maybe he will have enough, though, to go for another lap. So just watching Wet Lemons here, is 3 tenths up after the first sector, which looks quite decent for him. Magic Poop Cannon also following behind, just completing the first sector now. Jacko, as we know, is going to have to go again. So I think Wet Lemons is the guy to watch at this moment. Can he maybe get himself on front row?
Well, Lemons will be looking to do just that. Maybe a little bit wide through Spoon, just from the angle I saw. But foot to the floor now through this part of the track. He's lost a bit of time compared to his previous lap, but it would still be good enough for a front row if the lap times stayed as they were and Wet Lemons can hold it all together in the final sector. So just one more corner now for Wet Lemons to negotiate. Take a tight line to the line. And it's a front row provisionally for Wet Lemons.
It is indeed, and Poop Cannon is 6 tenths down and he's backed off as well. So he's also presumably going to go for one more lap here. Jacko is on his big final lap. Just seeing further down the field who else is on a lap. It's on Penguin. I think he's just starting lap now. He's just gone into 8th place. Alex Afro also improving. The improvements are going to fly through here. Where will Mike Noon go? Mike Noon's going to finally get a lap on the board. In fact, no, he's not, because it hasn't counted again for whatever reason. But Jacko's 6 tenths off in the first sector and he spun. That's it for Jacko. Game over.
P3 at best then for Jacko. He's not going to find any improvement in time or position. Camo Babo is on a lap in his Aston Martin through the first sector.
Off.
Poop Cannon's also off in the first sector.
Blair Grylls about to finish his lap.
Blair Grylls then in the Alpine crosses the line and he ends up in P5.
So decent position then for Blair Grylls. Just seeing who actually is on a lap and who can improve here. Camo Babo at the moment looks like the guy highest up in the order. Chris Johnson also just starting his lap now as well. See if he can improve. Sir Tom Penguin is invalidated. So we're not going to see too many improvements at the end. Chris Johnson just slightly off in the first sector. Oh, we had a bit of a dodgy run through the second Degner as well. But I think it's all on Camo Babo now, isn't it?
Yeah, all on Camo Babo, just about keeping it within track limits on the exit. Spoon took a lot of exit curb. But Camo Babo, he's up on his lap. He's going to need to find a bit of time in that final sector, though. He's going to have to nail this final chicane, certainly in comparison to his previous time anyway, if he is going to dethrone Magic Poop Cannon at the head of this field. So, Camo Babo crossing the line, and it's P3. And you know what?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
The tight line would have been a front row.
It would have, because it's literally just thousandths of a second that he lost and could have had a front row. Let's see what Chris Johnson can do then. Through the final chicane, takes a huge amount of care, but I have to take 2 bites of the steering wheel, getting the car turned in. He'll take the tight line, will he? Sort of. Yes, there we go. Across the line and goes up into 6th place. And I think that is all the lap times done. We still have Blair Grylls on a lap, but he's 6.8 seconds off. So that's going to be the grid for the race then.
Well, slight, in a way, I don't want to say anticlimax, but of course, Jacko spun, Poop Cannon spun, but we've got a good grid. Poop Cannon's really looking to mount a championship challenge once again. Of course, he is the reigning champion, so
yeah, well,
we shall see.
He is on 124 points, so if he was to win this and get fastest lap, he'd be on 150, which would, going into next week, would mean he'd just be 9 points behind Hickman, the championship leader. So it's just so important that while we have the top 2 in the championship not here, it's so important for these guys to try and catch up while they have a chance, because they will be back next week for United States and Mexico, and they will be ready and ready to go. And look at that, Baza has managed to get through on the mediums there, but it is only 10th place.
So, Magic Poop Cannon takes pole position ahead of Wet Lemons in the McLaren. ERT Camo Babo rounds out the top 3, with Jacko and Blair Grylls just behind. Chris Johnson is in 6th, with Sarah Sports 7th, followed by Sir Tom Penguin. Alex Zaffro, the 2 AlphaTauris, in 8th and 9th. Baza making the top 10 with his medium tyres. Angel vs Death in P11, followed by Red Bull Kim in P12. Kaya is 13th, followed by Parsa, who had an incident. Mike Noon, who failed to set a valid lap throughout the session. Stereogram, Indecisive Mackie, and Mr. John complete the grid.
So that is how we are looking for this race, as we say, 15% chance of rain. But it's probably going to be dry, although it does look very overcast. As once again, I do my thing of loading up Alex Afro's stream to see what the weather icons say.
So here we are at Suzuka. You can just about see the iconic Ferris wheel in the right of your picture, and the cars are on the grid, bouncing a little bit. Just a few more seconds to go before the starting gantry will be lit up.
Well, it looks like it's going to be an overcast race for the entire duration. No chance of rain, it looks like.
As the lights go on here in Suzuka. We are racing in Japan. It looks like another brilliant start from Camo Babo in P3 as Magic Poop Cannon loses the lead at the start of this race, and it looks like he's going to be dropping into P3. Camo Babo is up into P2. Wet Lemons with a great start. He takes the lead. Blair Grills is now up into P4 with Sayer Sports in 5th. Jacko now has dropped to P6, so that's not what he was looking for. His Stereogram has dropped to the back of the field, so has a bit of an incident at the back, but it's Wet Lemons who leads from Camo Babo and Magic Poop Cannon dropping from 1st to 3rd.
Brilliant starts again from Camo Babo. It's just like a launch pad, isn't it? Rockets off the line. But Wet Lemon's getting away very well there as well and leads the race and has a good start too. Jacko down to 6th place, as I say, not good for him. Oh, and that's a Red Bull spinning in the background. It's Mike Noon, but he's not out the race, but he has lost the front wing. That's your corner.
Oh, it's my corner now, is it?
Yeah.
As we have a virtual safety car. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get away with such light damage.
I was going to say at least you didn't get a 10-second time penalty as well for corner cutting. Of course, you DNF'd, which I suppose is arguably worse.
That's a bigger penalty indeed.
His race is pretty much destroyed now anyway. So virtual safety car. Will anybody pit? Will anybody take the risk and decide to come in here if the safety car VSC stays out long enough? We'll soon find out. Coming around the final corner, Mike Noon's actually now out the race. I don't know if he's crashed out, but we'll see if he is coming. Well, Evans is coming in, and so is Camo Babo. Poop Cannon stays out.
It's an interesting call. I'm not. It may work out for them. They will certainly gain a little bit of time, but the tyre wear around the circuit is surely going to hinder you quite a bit. And Wet Lemons is actually on the hard compound tyre, so yeah. Wet Lemons prioritising track position then, but sacrificing a bit of speed. And ERT Camo Babo, he's opted for the mediums, as has Blair Grills. So Wet Lemons, given that it's lap 1 and given the nature of the circuit, if you have a green flag, I would say that is strategic from the McLaren.
Oh, Jose spun. Oh, and he's hit the wall big time as well, around the S's, but he's got away with it. He'll probably have some rear wing damage there, I suspect. Just at the restart, probably just lit up the tyres, I imagine, and gets away in 12th place now. But it's going to be interesting to watch. Oh, Chris Johnson off in the gravel.
Wet
Gets
Lemons.
Away with it, but sits on
Wet
Penguin,
Lemons
spun. To get through.
Wet Lemons spins, and he's now running in last after having made that pit stop, and he's undone all his work then. So Wet Lemons is going to have to hope for another safety car, and he's going to have to go on a charge through the field. That's Chris Johnson.
That was possibly going to happen on those cold tyres, perhaps those cold hard tyres. So it's all on Camo Babo and Blair Grills now then, isn't it?
As Chris Johnson's now all over the back of Sir Tom Penguin, who's currently running in P3. Magic Poop Cannon has a 2-second lead up front, so it's looking good for the Mercedes. But then again, he has not pitted, whereas Camo Babo and Blair Grills have. But he will, of course, have fresher tyres, and we've seen a good few incidents already in this race, and we're only on lap 2, so I think another safety car is certainly not out of the question.
I mean, the VSC did work well for the guys who pitted because it stayed out while for the entire duration you were in there, but of course the struggle now for these guys is that they're going to have a lot of traffic to pass. Same Sports has pitted, but Camo Babo is behind Stereogram, and he needs to get past Stereogram, but he can't get past Stereogram. And this is where he'll start to lose time.
Yeah, through the S's, it's very difficult to make any kind of overtake, especially because it's very difficult to go side by side through here because you can't really take too many different lines, because if you clip a curb, you will spin. So Camo Babo then losing time behind the Williams of Stereogram in this first sector. He's going to have to hope he gets a good run to Degner, but it's not working out for him. So Kamababo will have to spend another few corners at least behind Stereogram, and he's going to be losing time to Magic Poop Cannon all the while.
Not good at all. Meanwhile, towards the front, it looks like Satan Penguin is getting a bit of a train forming here with Chris Johnson just behind him, and then Alex Afro, and then Parser. Looks like Babo's got the job done now in Stereogram. In fact, Stereogram spun, which made it a lot easier for him. Makes it easier for Blair Gills to go through. But just watching Parser gaining on Alex Afro, but actually backed off down the straight there. Didn't fancy going side by side through one this DR, as DRS will, I think, be enabled on this lap. In fact, he can use it. And we'll see if Chris Johnson uses it to try and get back past Sirton Penguin. He was ahead of Sirton Penguin, but went wide at the restart. And we've got another VSC.
Another
we've got
VSC.
A second VSC.
Not quite sure why. Now, does anyone decide to pit? Surely you pit this time. Red Bull Kim decides to pit.
Red Bull Kim. Good decision-making perhaps by Red Bull Kim there. But I wonder maybe when Stereogram spun, if he maybe got a bit of damage on the circuit. A bit of debris on the circuit, I should say. So he's decided to come in, Red Bull Kim, nobody else in, and instead they'll all have to be getting ready for the restart. I think it's going to be interesting to watch Chris Johnson and Alex Afro and Parser on this restart, because they are immediately going to be going for it. Of course, this means Camo Babo can't really make much time up as try and get on Kaya. He's going to have to spend a bit more time behind them. Wonder how long this one will stay out for.
I mean, yeah, it's stayed out long enough for Red Bull Kim, certainly, as Sayer Sports. So the two Ferraris are the only ones who decided to come into the pits. I wonder if Sayer Sports did actually pick up some more damage then, because it's a bit of a strange decision to do that as we go green again in Suzuka, and we resume the train behind the AlphaTauri of Sirton Penguin.
Johnson! Oof, we just saved that, but Alex Afro is going right on him now.
Alex Afro is right on him, but Parsa is all over Alex Afro. Now, Parsa, he does tend to use his overtake a bit too early sometimes, but he has the slipstream now behind the Alpine. Decides against the overtake, as Alex Afro is actually harvesting his energy. Through the chicane they go, and the camera angle eventually switches.
Yeah, Parsa got so close there.
No DRS for Chris Johnson, but there is DRS for Alex Zafro, but he does not have any deployment left over, so he's not going to be able to make his way past through turn one, or is he? He thinks about the outside, but he does not have the momentum, does not have the track position in order to do so.
Kamababo right on the back of Kaya, needs to get it done. Again, he's not very quick in a straight line, Kamababo. He must, we've got a yellow flag out. It's Angel vs Death of the big crash. Angel vs Death of the big accident, and Mr. John spun as well. Now, will this be a safety car? Kamababo gets through, and we do have a safety car. Well, this is perfect for Pubcan and Jacko, isn't it? At the front, the guys at the front. Will this work out for Kamababo? I'm not sure it will.
Yeah, because he's now on old tyres, and he's not really guaranteed to get a whole lot of track position from this. Because I think he did lose a bit of time behind the slower drivers.
Yeah, he definitely lost time behind the slower drivers. But and I can't see him. I cannot see him getting out ahead with these guys pitting on the safety car. I don't think he's going to be getting up towards the leading positions anyway. I can't see that happening. But surely everybody now will come in. Baza might have a decent second stint in the race on the soft tyres. He's on the mediums right now. Same for Indecisive as well, I suppose. There's a few penalties as well in there for Indecisive and Kaya. Blake Hill's got a penalty for ignoring the yellow flag, didn't he? I wonder if he might try and get that one removed. It might have been overtaking a car who had gone off the track. But yeah, here we go. Poop Cannon comes in. And unsurprisingly, Jacko, Tom Penguin, Chris Johnson, Alex Afro, Parser all follow.
So Alex Afro will have to pit. Queue in the pits. So Magic Poop Cannon, where does he rejoin in relation to Camo Babo? He's going to be a long way clear.
Will he? Yes, he will. Camo Babo is coming down now, flying down the straight, and will he be? No, he will not. He will be ahead of Jacko. He will be ahead of Jacko. So he managed to get out ahead of Jacko. So it's not terrible for Camo Babo, but his tyres are certainly a lot older than Poop Cannons and everybody else is around them effectively. Although I tell you what, if Kaya stays out for this restart, that might cause Jacko a few issues.
He's Yeah, he's deploying overtake behind the safety car, which is an interesting decision. But currently running in P3, he has yet to stop. So not quite sure what the strategy is here. Um, so Jacko will be looking to clear Kaya as soon as he possibly can. It gives Camo Babo a little bit of breathing space, but I think looking at how this race has panned out, I think Camo Babo, the best he can probably look for is a podium, because surely Magic Poop Cannon with the fresher tyres will have the advantage. And let me just check. He is on the medium. Sorry, the angle that it was at, it kind of looked like Magic Poop Cannon was actually on the hards. But
Yeah, we've got everybody on the mediums now, aside from Kyle, obviously, who hasn't pitted yet. And then the guys who had to put the mediums on, such as Indecisive and Bazza. Wet Lemons is on the soft tyres as well. Wet Lemons has made 2 stops on the soft tyres now for this final stint. Of course, Wet Lemons spun, didn't he? Put the hard tyres on, didn't he, when he came in, and has now decided to put soft tyres on for the run to the finish. And we've still got over half the race to go. I think we'll have one more lap on the safety car, won't we? But I don't think we're going to have any more interruptions now either, are we, in this race? So this is it now, all to the flag. It's going to be an interesting battle, and might be quite difficult for the likes of Camo Babo and Blair Girls to keep hold of the tyres.
yeah, it'll be interesting because Camo Babo does have a lot of pace, but it's just a question of whether or not he'll be able to actually hold the track position, because Suzuka, it's not the easiest track to overtake at. So
Certainly not. And
I
Kaya
guess
is
we'll
pitted,
see.
by the
Kaya
way.
has
So
pitted.
that's made things easier for Jacko.
Not quite sure why he didn't just pit in the first place, but anyway, he's in the pits now, and will filter towards the back of the field. I think Stereogram will jump him. Stereogram down the pit straight, and yes, he is indeed ahead of Kaya. So Kaya has dropped to the back of the field. There's just 2 more places for him to gain if he wants to score points, but currently in 14th place it is Sayer Sports, who has already made 2 pit stops, and he's probably the biggest beneficiary of this safety car, because he was nowhere. He's over a minute behind the next car.
Yeah.
So Sayer Sports now running in 14th, and let's see how far up he can go.
So, how do we look then in this race? If Jacko can win this, he will take the lead of the championship. It is worth mentioning that, but he does have to win for that to happen, though. And that's going to be tricky, I think, given the pace of Poop Cannon. But not impossible.
Certainly not impossible. So,
and we know how easy it is to make errors as well around here, of course. It just takes one little moment for Poop Cannon, and then, let's not forget, obviously, we've seen Jacko have instance this season, but Poop Cannon, remember, he crashed on the final lap in the Netherlands. Just thinking about that right now, actually, in the context of this race, you add another 18 points to Poop Cannon's current total, and he'd be, possibly about to take the lead of the championship if he was to win this. But, well, these things happen.
That they do.
I suppose.
Yeah, this track known for causing incidents. I myself being one of those drivers. But yeah, as you say, these things happen. Let's not dwell on that, because we have another 6 laps of this race to go, and I think we're in for some action here, as we always are in TGP2, of course. But Poop Cannon's given himself a pretty big gap to the safety car, so he can push at any moment he chooses from now on. And that moment is now. Magic Poop Cannon has gone here in Suzuka. Camo Babo, he's already dropped back a little bit, so he's not going to be challenging Poop Cannon into turn 1, that's for sure. And Jacko has actually had an even worse restart. He's now getting a bit defensive on Blair Grills. We have a camera angle which doesn't exactly show much. And Wet Lemons
it's crashed on the straight with Mr. John. Mr. John's backwards rolling down the track. Don't know what happened there, but terrible restart clearly, and an immediate instance.
So that promotes then Stereogram and Kaya into the points. Sayer Sports now up into P12, and he's now behind his teammate of Red Bull Kim. So we have yellow flags out there. Of course, Wet Lemon's car is still there, and Mr. John has kept it going, and he's now making his way through the first sector. But it's Magic Poop Cannon who Sayer Sports is retired from the session at Degner
got a big
1.
crash. Yeah, it looks like he's had a big crash, hit the marker boards as well. But so that's him out then. That's another retirement. We've got 15 cars left now in this race, and it's still so close between the likes of Tom Penguin and Chris Johnson and Parser. That's where the battle is at the moment. Poop Cannon almost a second clear. Chris Johnson, wow, was almost on the grass going into Spoon there, and that's run wide. And this might present an opportunity for Parser.
Yeah, Chris Johnson definitely dipped at least 2 wheels onto the grass and has run a bit wide on the exit of Spoon. Now Parsa tries to go around the outside of 130. I hope the camera angle will change. Let's go on board with the McLaren. And
he's off.
Chris
Johnson's off.
Chris Johnson's off. Did they make contact?
Yeah, they did make slight contact, but to be honest, I don't really think Chris Johnson can complain about that because, Parser did have a run on him, and Chris Johnson did make the error to enable Parser to have a go. But anyway, Parser's through. Chris Johnson is down to 10th place, and that's bad news for him as he tries to catch up to others in the championship. 1.5 seconds clear now, Magic Poop Cannon.
So Blair Grills is the one putting pressure on Jacko. Blair Grills looking a bit more confident at this stage of the race. Sir Tom Penguin running an excellent P5, although Parsa is all over the back of him. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. It's an Aston Martin. It's Aston. Spun. Yeah, indecisive Mackie will drop out of the top 10. Then actually no, he won't. He will keep the top 10. So Red Bull Kim will remain in P11. But Parsa now clearly looking quicker than Sir Tom Penguin. Will he decide to use overtake down here? Yes, he will. Parsa, he likes to use his overtake rather early. Not always playing the long game when it comes to his deployment. But Parsa, he wants that top 5. He's had some disappointing races this season. Of course, he did crash in qualifying. Didn't actually get to set a lap. And he was thinking about going around the outside of 130 euro once again, but decides against it. He's waiting for the DRS on that pit straight.
Sir Tom Penguin uses ERS in defence there as well and managed to prevent an overtake from Parsa. But the DRS is only enabled on this lap, so you won't get it this lap. And it's very difficult to overtake down this straight when you don't have any DRS, so you might have to stay behind him again for another lap. Blake Grills is closing a little bit on Jacko, as well. As I say, Blake Grills has that 5-second penalty, and it was for overtaking him to get a flag, but I think he passed Mr. John, who was spinning, basically. And so I think that penalty is going to get removed from Blake Grills. So he is close to Jacko for 3rd place, 4th position. And Kamababa has just took half a second out of Poop Cannon.
So I think Magic Poop Cannon has made a slight mistake then, because the pace looked slightly, well, certainly not anything this drastic. He's now only half a second back, is Camo Babo. So Camo Babo, on those more worn tyres, is now actually putting pressure on the Mercedes of Magic Poop Cannon. Uses a bit of overtake on the exit of the hairpin, and in terms of their deployment, Camo Babo with 60, Magic Poop Cannon with 30. So
yeah, this is looking good for Camo Babo.
Camo Babo, they both
got nearly drossed it.
One oversteered, one understeered, but they both made it through nonetheless. And Camo Babo then, I don't think he'll know about the deployment situation, but he's now all over the back of Magic Poop Cannon. Once again, Magic Poop Cannon, when he's in front, he likes to be the hunter, not the hunted. And Camo Babo then, with a better exit out of the chicane, as we have this camera angle that shows the driver's helmet, which is not ideal right now. We have a yellow Parsa at the final corner. What is it with the McLarens on this pit straight?
Unbelievable. I think it might have hit the pit wall perhaps, because it looks like he's reset in the middle on the racing line. So that's Parsa out the race then. Another McLaren out. Not a great night for McLaren. They promised a lot, but they managed to crash into each other in Russia. And now they both crashed out of this one. Parsa has left the session, as Camo Babo is right on the back of Poop Cannon now.
And still retains that high level of deployment. So wasn't enough challenge into turn 1, but he's saving it. I don't think he wants Magic Poop Cannon to be right behind him. But at the same time, I think Camo Babo needs to make a move pretty soon anyway. He doesn't want to leave it to the last lap because those tyres will keep degrading. There is a 4-lap difference between the two of them, and that's quite a lot around here. It's a very long track, and it's full of long sweeping corners.
Well, I mean, Cameron Babbitt managed to get through this lap and has not used much ERS at all, and he's still on the back of Buchanan, look. And Buchanan is down in, 18% now. He's using it now to defend down the straight. Cameron Babbitt uses it to try and overtake, but the difference is massive. And if Cameron Babbitt can get the DRS down here, he may well have a run into turn 1, the penultimate lap of this race, and it would be... Oh, he's going to go for it now, is he? Maybe in the chicane. Buchanan effectively having to try and defend there, and it might give Cameron Babbitt a good exit from the corner, and he's going to have DRS. This might be his opportunity.
DRS and deployment at use here. He's going to go up, down the inside of turn 1. Camo Babo takes the lead here in Japan and keeps it clean through the first 2 corners, and Camo Babo is now leading the Japanese Grand Prix.
Fantastic move by Camo Babo, and that also might be the move that prevents Buchanan from taking the lead of the championship, of course, as well, or certainly getting closer to the top 2 in the championship. It's a 7-point swing right there, of course. Blair Grills, meanwhile, got very close to Jacko and nearly lost it, but I think Blair Grills might have a go on trying to pass Jacko in the same place. Camo Babo just passed Buchanan on the final lap, and we've also got Alex Zafra and Bazza battling as well. Bazza just managed to get past them, but Zafra is still hanging in there. Gonna have some battles going down to the wire here, but what a drive by Camo Babo to just keep up his ERS, stay behind Buchanan, and ultimately get through and take the lead.
So it's telling me that Camo Babo's tyres are 9 laps old, but I'm pretty sure he pitted on lap 1.
Yeah, that's a good point there, actually. Didn't make another pit stop, did he? Maybe under another virtual safety car.
No, because he would not have retained that track position. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2. It's an Alpine. It's Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson has gone for a spin at Spoon. I don't think he's actually lost any positions from it, although Indecisive Mackie will have a much better run down the run to 130 hours. Camo Babo sets a new fastest lap of the race on 11 lap old tyres. So Indecisive Mackie then will not be able to make a move. Certainly not yet anyway. But let's have a look at this battle for 8th place up until turn 1 anyway. I think Chris Johnson, if he can clear Indecisive on this pit straight, he will just streak clear of the Aston Martin anyway. So yeah, Indecisive Mackie not challenging. And Blair Grills still within a second of Jacko, but it's the best part of a second though. I don't think he's going to really challenge. We have an AlphaTauri.
Oh, sits on Penguin. Oh, he was in a good 5th place as well. A strong race. He had a great race, and now he's lost it at Dunlop, isn't it, I think, and he's dropped down to 6th place, and Alex Afro's catching up to him now as well, his teammate, and, well, that's a huge shame for him, and he's got damage as well. He might struggle to keep hold of that position, but it's at the front that we need to watch. And tell you what, Jacko's closed in on Buchanan here.
Jacko has indeed closed in on Buchanan. It's going to take a lot here. He does have a lot more deployment at his disposal, however. But out in front, it's Camo Babo with a 2.7 second lead. I don't think it's going to be enough for Jacko, but he's going to try it anyway. He's using all the deployment he possibly can on the run to the Casio chicane. And Jacko thinks about it, but does not manage to do so. But around the final corner, another masterful drive from the Aston Martin of Camo Babo, who wins in Japan. Magic Buchanan just about holds on to 2nd place. Jacko 3rd. Bazza 4th, which may become 5th because of that penalty for Blair Grills, which we're a little bit up in the air about. Sertan Penguin holds off his teammate.
Blair Grills was nearly went for it on Jacko at the end, but got a bit of a swap on and hit the wall at the penultimate corner, or at the final corner, that little kink as you approach to start the final straight. He hit the wall, got a bit of damage, but they're not DNF. And instead, he gets that, what I think will be a 4th place finish. Because I think he will get that penalty removed. If he doesn't get that penalty removed, it will be absolutely gutting for him to just miss out on 4th. But I think he probably will. But what a night for Camo Babo. He turns up, he wins both races. And in the car that Dom hasn't actually managed to win in yet so far this season.
That's a good point, actually. So The number 3 driver has taken all 2 of the team's wins
Yeah.
this season. As
Well,
Mr. John is about to cross the line, or we think so. Anyway, I think he's had a bit of an incident.
I think he's doing a bit of a demo run here for the Japanese fans in that Honda livery.
Well,
Because if he's not careful, he'll get himself disqualified, which will give Parser a point, and
we'll give
he
Sarah
won't get any
Sports the
points
point.
himself. Sorry, yeah, I'll give Say Sports the points. I'm sure the Honda faithful will be delighted to see this. I mean, they might want to go home instead and watch a Liverpool match, but instead, he's doing a few more donuts and hitting the wall for good measure. Oh! Well, this is fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Would like to cross the line at some point. Right, thank you.
Here we go. No, he's still not done it yet. The fans are going crazy for it though, and there we go. He crosses the line.
Driver of the day is given to Indecisive Mackie.
Well,
interesting.
He did crash in qualifying, didn't he? Well, he did crash in qualifying, and then he managed to come through the field, didn't he? But I think it's perhaps his teammate who maybe should get the driver of the day.
Yeah.
The guy currently receiving the trophy at the top.
And I'll give a quick shout out as well to Stereogram, who managed to finish in the top 10 in that race. So,
yeah.
Some good drives throughout the field. And it's Camo Babu who takes another win. So he wins both races. He has a 100% win record this season. So it's Camo Babu with the fastest lap as well for good measure. So 26 points heading the way of Camo Babu, with Magic Poop Cannon and Jacko joining him on the podium. Magic Poop Cannon and Jacko really reigniting their championship challenge. Baza, a very impressive P4 after switching to the softs at the end of the race. Blair Grills is 5th in his Alpine, although actually we think Baza and Blair Grills will possibly swap over again. Check Twitter at TGP Series for all the latest info. Sir Tom Penguin was 6th, could have been a top 5, but he did have that spin towards the end. Alex Zafro 7th, Chris Johnson 8th. I think he'd be disappointed enough with that. Mackie is 9th, followed by Stereogram in the top 10. Kaya was P11, Red Bull Kim 12th, Mr. John 13th. Parsa gets the final point in P14. He was classified 14th, followed by Sarah Sports, Wet Lemons, Angel vs. Death, and Mike Noon, who had a tumultuous first lap and drove no further.
So, before we go down here, the stands are looking for, after tonight's races, Hickman will keep the lead of the championship at 159 points. Dom will stay in second on 158. But then, Jacko is in third on 153 points. And then we have Poop Cannon on 142. And Chris Johnson on 138. So 21 points separate the top 5 after tonight's races. And, well, that's going to up the pressure on Hickman and Dom, and it's effectively a 5-way championship fight now, isn't it?
Yeah, and just like I say, pretty much every week, you really can't predict which way it's going to fall. Week in, week out, we see a variety of results, and hopefully it will be the same next week, where we head off to North America. 2 tracks with, I think, some mixed opinions throughout the TGP1 and TGP2 grids. We have the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and the relatively recently revamped Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. Hopefully you will be watching next week, same time, same day, no week break this time. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you then. So, from me and from Dan the Man, it's good night.